Well, another week has passed. Is anybody really surprised? It's kind of laughable at this point. So Dylan and Chris are going to talk about it. Armchair GM podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. Let's get into it. This time of year, everyone's talking about making big changes, which is all well and good, but most of the time pretty unrealistic. I've actually found that the smallest changes to the routine can make the biggest impact. In the same way, you don't have to break the bank to make a big deal purchase. Even the smallest things can be a part of a big change if it's something you use every day, like my Raycons. Raycon is premium audio at the perfect price point, so you can build great habits without breaking the bank. Whether you're looking for a pair of everyday earbuds, low latency gaming headphones, or a speaker with a battery that will last you all night at your next party, Raycon has got you covered. And yep, Raycon start at half the price of other premium audio brands, so you don't even have to choose between products. You can buy one of each, or a pair and a spare, and still pay less than you would with some of the other guys. Even if you know you'll love your Raycons as much as I do, Raycon wants to make sure you feel great about your next purchase. They offer buy now and pay later options. Every purchase has an easy and free return guarantee. Ready to buy something small with a big impact? Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com/THPN. Well, Dylan, 3 games in the East. I tell you, it couldn't have gone better.
It went pretty much as planned. I mean, you can't really. I mean, we've been saying the team is super mediocre for the vast majority of the year, and I'll tell you, 1-1-1 is pretty fucking mediocre.
It's pretty mediocre, especially considering the teams that we went up against.
It's even more mediocre. It's bad considering the teams we went up against. Like, don't get me wrong, Buffalo is exciting and young and has a ton of talent, but they don't play very good defense and their goaltending's horrible. Detroit, I'd say the late stages of a rebuild, Ottawa,
Yeah.
late stages. Ottawa's got the old goaltender playing his like second or third game ever, first game of the season. Made 3 stops all season, beats Calgary.
It was I mean, yeah, after the Rangers game, it's so, like, what do you say at this point? Like we have a coach that refuses, like, just outright refuses to start the goaltender that, not saying he's necessarily playing better, but the team has wins, right? Like, how do you not play the goaltender that went, what was it, 10-0-3 in the first 13, and they finally lost a regulation game?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I don't think he's even playing particularly good. He's just playing better than Markstrom. He's I don't even know what is he, a 9? Do I have it up here somewhere? Yeah, he's 903. Like, that's not particularly good. That's
not great. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than 891.
Yeah, I think I could be off a little bit, but I heard Steinberg earlier saying it was 36th or something like that in the league for goalies that have played 15 games or more. That's Vladar.
Wow.
So late 30s somewhere. I can't remember the exact number, but I was like, holy shit, that's he's a backup on every team.
That's not even okay, to be honest. Like, it's
no.
But for whatever reason, we feel more comfortable when he's in the net than when Markstrom's in there.
It's the timing of the saves. And No, he'll make the first few saves of the game and let the team settle in, I think is the main thing.
That's a huge thing, right? Like starting off a period down within the first three shots, it's got to be killer on the team. Like that has to be deflating on the bench.
Oh, deflating's the perfect word for it. You
Yeah.
you just like you don't see it because they're good at hiding it a lot of the time,
Yeah.
but you can just tell they're oh, again,
Yeah.
like
Again.
fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like it happens often. It literally happens every fucking game.
Yeah.
Every game. Like, how is that even possible? You know, for the
It's
longest time, his first
100%
shot.
between his ears.
Sure.
But that doesn't matter. It's
That
time to not worry about what's in between his ears and play the guy who gets
that's
us
right.
points, even if he's not that great.
That's right. And like I'm all for making sure players have a good surrounding, they're happy, they're comfortable, all that. I get that. But at some point, like this year he's getting paid $8 million.
Yeah.
Like
We're
like
54 games into
like
the season. It's
like you need to do better. You
yeah.
have to be better. Like you
And if you're
your
not,
own
then
mind to be damned. Like you have to be better.
you absolutely have to be better. And if you're not, then you have to be okay with sitting the fuck down for a few games and
Mm-hmm.
letting the other guy play.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the goalie situation is like 90% of what everyone's talking about all the time, which is totally fair. It's old, but it's relevant.
That's right. And we talk about our lack of scoring a lot, like as far as fan base goes, and how bad our defense is. But when you look at the comparison between last year and this year at this time, our scoring is pretty close to what it was last year
Yep.
as a team. Our our plus minus and our defensive and our 5-on-5 goals against is really damn close to what it was last year. The only thing that has changed in that entire equation is save percentage and goals against average.
Yeah.
So I mean it.
It's
I'll
striking. It's striking how it can be so similar to last year, how
yeah.
so many stats can be so similar to last year, and we can not be doing well,
Well, that's right. I mean,
especially since nobody else in the Pacific is doing particularly well.
that's right. Like how many how many shutouts did we end the season with last year?
I, I think I think Markstrom had 9. Here, let me take a look.
Well, you're having a look at that when you think about how many we had last year and how good the goalie tandem was with the same two guys compared to now. Like we have not gone into a third period with a shutout.
No, I don't think have we gone into a second period? Oh yeah, Vladar has.
Vladar has, yeah.
So Markstrom had 9 last year. I was right on that.
Yeah.
And Vladar had 2.
Yeah.
So we had 11 shutouts last year. That's all together. I don't know how many by this time, but I know Markstrom had most of his by this time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like we have less than 30 games left, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we get
28.
one, great. If we do end up getting one, great.
I don't I don't even particularly care about that. I like shutout, no shutout. I don't give a fuck. Win. I don't care.
Show me 2 points, right?
Show me 2 points. Improve your save percentage. I don't care about shutouts. If you let one in, that's fine. If you let 2 in, that's fine as long as we score 3 or more. Just like stop doing this shit like you did in fucking Ottawa, where you looked pretty fucking good as far as saves are concerned. I have a bone to pick, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as far as saves are concerned, looked really good until there was 4 minutes left in the game, and then like let 3 shots out of or 3 goals on 4 shots.
Yeah.
And lost in overtime because of it. And don't get me wrong, except for the overtime goal, I think they were very nice shots and good plays, but He's got to have one of them. He's just got to fucking have one.
He really does, right? I mean, I understand. Yes, the defense in those situations, they weren't. Sorry, I can't even just say defense. Like the entire team, we couldn't get the puck out of the zone. I get
Yeah.
that, but at some point, when you're getting paid $8 million, you just need to make the save,
Well, he's getting
right?
paid 6, but yeah.
He's getting paid 8 this year.
Oh yeah, sorry. His hit against
His
the cap is
his
6.
his average is 6, yes,
Yeah.
but he's getting paid $8 million this year.
Yeah.
Even if he's making 6, like
Even if you're making 3.
right,
Yeah.
it's literally
Makes
your
some saves.
job. That's
So
that's your job.
yeah.
That's it. Do it.
And the bone to pick I have also, and it's not really like haha, I told you or anything like that. It's just everyone was saying he played pretty good up till then, but I saw the confidence that wasn't there every
Yep.
time he played the puck. He stumbled on it 2 or 3 times. He
Yep.
misplayed it a couple times. He got bailed out by the team a couple times. He wasn't sure what to do a couple times. Like you can just tell he's not confident. And the way he left after that fucking overtime goal went in, he just glided
that
away.
that that well, I mean, that overtime goal was
He should have had one.
horrendous. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Like that, like it went through him. Like it's almost like he didn't even make an effort to make the save. Like he had already cashed out of the game
Yeah.
after 60 minutes. And
Yeah.
yeah, and because, likely because of how bad he was for the last 4 minutes of the third period, right?
Yeah.
Spectre on 960 this morning, I was listening to him, and they posed the question to him, what's more concerning, Markstrom or Huberdeau, right? And Spectre's answer was, not Markstrom, because you can always put in Vladar and go with that, right?
Uh,
And then he said what he finds to be more concerning is Huberdeau, which I think is just a horrible take by him.
I wonder if he's the guy that wrote that article that's
Hmm.
been going around about how Huberdeau is about to break a record for biggest downturn in points in the season or something like that. Because that's
I haven't seen that article, but and his reasoning was, Calgary doesn't have another Huberdeau, so if you don't have Huberdeau producing, then what are you going to do?
well, when Huberdeau's not producing, we're still scoring right now.
That's right. And I thought it was a really weird take when I heard him say it. I went, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
If you look at the Buffalo game, Huberdeau had 2 assists on 7 goals.
Right.
I mean, that's an outlier of a game for Calgary. Don't get me wrong,
Sure.
but like the New York game, how many points? I can't even remember how many points he had in that game. See any? None. He had 0 points in that game. We scored 4 goals.
Right.
5 goals.
And he had an assist against Buffalo. Like,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want more from Huberdeau, and I know Huberdeau wants more from Huberdeau.
And I know he can.
Yeah,
100%.
Like I'm not
saying
I'm not really worried about him.
115 points, but
he's he's producing.
He's producing like
most nights.
He's got 36 points in 51 games. That is underproducing 100%.
Yeah.
But I would say if he had 6 or 7 more points, people would be way less upset, obviously. But
well,
I don't think it's I'm not upset with Huberdeau as much as I am with Markstrom.
Yeah, absolutely. If
Markstrom didn't have to change systems or teams or fucking parts of the fucking world.
And his defense, is one player, so I guess 2 players different than what he had last year, but it's really only one.
Yeah.
right? If Huberdeau has this point production next year when his new contract kicks in,
I'll be
okay,
upset.
fine. I'll voice my opinion about it at that point.
Mhm.
But right now,
I
he's
highly
making
doubt it. I
he's making
highly,
what
highly doubt it.
he's making what Mangiapane's making, and
He's
nobody is
got
talking about him.
he's got 6 more points than Mangiapane.
Right. But
One
nobody's
less
talking
goal.
about that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Um. No, I agree. Like I am. I'm not even concerned about Huberto, honestly.
No,
Like
I'm not.
I'm not even slightly concerned. Like,
Because
is
he's
it
getting better.
disappointing? Sure, but I like beyond a shadow of a doubt, I would put fucking $100 on it that he gets back to around a point a game next year, no problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Players have off years.
he's
Markstrom
gonna
too.
be in and around the 80 point mark next year. I'm not worried about that.
I'm more concerned about Markstrom, but Markstrom's having a bad year too. That happens. But I'm more concerned about Markstrom because Huberto shows signs of confidence.
Right.
Huberto shows signs of improvement. Markstrom doesn't.
That's right. And let's be honest, Markstrom's situation has been going on since the second round of the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Right. Like he was exactly like he is now
Yeah.
against Edmonton. Like
Yeah.
he was terrible. And he knows that, right?
Absolutely.
I don't understand what the difference is. I mean, obviously I've voiced my opinion in the Hubs admin chat for a couple of years now, just in us getting him, because obviously I think he's better than what he's doing now, but I don't think he's last year's guy.
I don't
Never
think
has.
he's a Vesna guy most years either, but I
Yeah.
do think he's a 915 guy most years. Ish.
Well, he's a 911 because right, because that was his average
I
before
don't know
last
what
year.
his average is.
Yeah,
I don't know offhand, but
yeah,
915 was my guess.
yeah.
But 920, no, 925, no.
No,
He's a average $6 million starter in my mind.
average exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
and
and
if we were getting that average $6 million starter, we'd have 7 more wins.
yeah, yeah. If we can get at least what his average is right now, okay,
Yeah.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Right, because I truly believe the team that's in front of him can take care of the rest. Right, as we've always talked about, if you're able to score 3 goals, you should be able to win the game. Right,
Most games.
most games, not all.
I'd
Right, yeah,
say 80 to 90% of games.
that's right.
Um Take a little break for DraftKings.
Sure.
Yep, let's do it.
The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer with tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports. You can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age, some restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
Well, Chris, we've got a couple of more positive note type of things to talk about too. How about Dylan Dube the last couple games? Even though um, our record hasn't been fantastic or anything like that, him taking a big step production wise. He had that 1 goal, 3 assist game that we won, and then he had the 2 goal game against Ottawa.
You know what? You know me. I've been hard on Dylan
Yeah.
for well, his entire career here in a Flames uniform, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, I've been really pleasantly surprised with what he's been able to accomplish this year. It's been nothing short of a miracle as far as I'm concerned, because he really made a shift. I'm assuming his off-season training was on par, and I
Well,
don't I don't
he was the best, like the most in shape guy
yeah.
at training camp. Not that
So
that matters a whole bunch, but
it doesn't matter a whole lot, but at
it
least
shows something.
shows that he put in the work, right?
Yeah.
Is he training with Roberts or what? Like, what's happening there? How did this happen?
I'm not sure exactly who he's training with, but that would be interesting to find out.
Leading up to this year, I had Dylan Dube pegged as a bottom six guy for his career, which, as I've always said, it's fine. You need those guys, right?
Oh,
there's always six of them.
and he makes third line money.
That's right. And then he really came out of the gate flying on the second line with Kadri and Mangiapane.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that time, for many games, Andrew was holding that entire line back. Like, had they had somebody
At the
that could
beginning
have,
of the year, the
yeah,
DNA line or whatever that
yeah,
everyone was all, no, I totally agree
like
with that statement.
like if they would have had somebody that could have kept up with Kadri and Dube, I I couldn't imagine what they could have accomplished over the first
Coleman,
10 games, 15 games, right? Because they were
yeah,
flying. It was
they
great.
were flying. And Mangiapane was, yeah, like you said, he was kind of I mean, I know he was frustrating both of us, but he was fucking invisible. The only times he was visible is when he was button hooking and getting hit off the puck.
That's right. As per usual.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously, I can't remember what the change was that pulled Dubé off the line.
Originally it
Was dropping Huberto down, wasn't after he
well, it was Huberto getting hurt, first of all, for the first
right.
for those
Yeah.
couple games.
That's right.
And then Dube got put down a line, or sorry, went up a line.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
that's right. But yeah, you know what? He's had a hell of a season so far. I'm very confident in calling him a middle six guy. I know he's not playing in the middle six role right now. I don't
He's
know if
on
I
the quote unquote first line right now,
yeah,
but to me,
which which is not
he's a
really
second
necessarily
liner.
getting top line minutes, right? It's very spread between the top three lines for minutes. So I I'm very confident in calling him a middle six forward now for sure.
Yeah. So his career high before this year was 32 points in 79 games,
Mhm.
and he's got 33 points in 54 games. So he's already surpassed his career high in points, and he's
Is
3 goals away from his career high in goals. So it would be crazy to me if he didn't surpass that as well. And I could see him getting 50 points this year, which is not top line
yeah.
quality in my opinion. But again, perfectly fine middle six. I'd even say just like solid second liner.
Yeah.
And that's
So
kind of his ceiling to me.
I agree. I believe that's his ceiling as well. Um, and for me this year, obviously his point production has been great and welcomed.
Yeah.
But I'm happier with what I see from him when he's away from the puck, when he
Yeah.
doesn't have it. His digging in the corners right now has been way better.
Yeah.
He's way harder to get off the puck than he was previous. Right? Like last year and the year before even. He was it's almost like he had a target on his back for getting hit. Like he took a lot of abuse 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
And then last year he was just really easy. I thought he was just timid, right?
Yeah.
And just simply wasn't strong enough. But this year, I've been really impressed with what he's been doing away from the puck or even digging for it.
Yeah. I agree. His forecheck this year has been fantastic, and his attention to details defensively has been way better. He hasn't
Yeah.
been giving away the puck often. Um, and I don't know if that's partially. Actually, I heard an interview with him today, and he kind of credited playing with Toffoli and Lindholm because he's learning those habits that he hasn't been able to learn yet, and that's
Yeah.
great to hear. Um,
Well, he's been on PK2 as well, right? So he's
yeah, and he's been getting power play points too.
that's
Yeah.
right. And so obviously Daryl trusts him
Mm-hmm.
in a defensive role, which
Well,
is
Daryl calls him the most improved player.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I don't disagree with that.
I mean, either.
No, no, I think it's been great. I'll uh I'll I'll be a Dube fan from now on, I promise.
Well, if he stops being who he is, then don't be. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. No,
Um,
it,
I
it's
just I'm just
like
happy he's finally showing what I always thought he had. I didn't coming out of the last year, I didn't know if he was going to take that step. And you know me, I've been saying for a couple years, and like he's going to take that step. And then
yep.
finally, I say, maybe not. Maybe he is who he is, and
Yeah,
he does take that step. So
even from our old flaming puck days, you used to say it then.
yeah,
That's how long you've been clamoring about that, right? So that's going on 2-3 years.
yeah, and
So
like yeah, no, he's been doing really good, and I really enjoy watching him. And like you said, away from the puck too,
yeah,
um he's skating harder. And back in those days, he used to um we used to have a lot of players that did this, but he outskated his head before. So he was when he had the puck, he was skating too fast for his head and his hands to handle the puck. And
yeah.
now he's not. Now he's still skating fast, but his head is caught up.
Hmm. It's always good to be able to skate with your head and not
Yes.
past it.
Yes. You know what I mean.
I do. I do know what you mean 100%. And we've definitely have talked about his that's
Yeah.
for the first 3 years, that's all I heard from all the media, all the fan base, was how fast he was. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, fast means nothing to me unless you can be successful with the puck while being fast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um
And I did mention this last year that one of my biggest gripes on him was everybody talking about how fast he was, but every race to the puck that I saw last year, he lost. So he's made improvements on his skating. He's made improvements on his stability,
yeah.
right? And that's so no, it's been good.
It would be
I'm
nice
really
if his
happy
buddy
with
Mangiapane could do that stability thing.
sure. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like when I talk about what guys do away from the puck or even when they have the puck but not scoring, that's where I give Dube the praise right now because even last year with Mangiapane with his his career high in goals and all that fun stuff, when he wasn't scoring, he was essentially useless,
He was a
right?
liability.
He was a liability. So I mean, it doesn't impress me that he's getting goals. It's great that he's getting goals, but it's not impressive.
See
But
that's what I like about guys like Backlund and Coleman, and like when they're not scoring,
that's right. They still
they're
make a
still
difference.
very reliable.
That's right. They still make a difference every game
Yeah.
in some way, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's accountability is big in my books, obviously.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I want to bring up one thing here that's a big positive for the team, and I hope it really brings them together because something needs to. Um and that's after Rasmus was hit by a vehicle the other day in Detroit, he was back on the ice today,
Yeah, that was
which
good.
is great. He wasn't in a non-contact uniform, but he was on the fourth pair with Mackey.
Yeah.
Um, so that leads me to believe that I don't think he plays tomorrow, but that's just my thought. I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't heard. Um, but it's great to see he's back on the ice, and I hope that the team rallies around that because that's a fucking scary ass incident. Even though they knew he was okay right after. Still a pretty scary incident, and
Yeah,
glad
I
to hear he's
mean,
okay.
being physically okay after something like that is one thing, but I mean, what a scary thing for him to go through,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like I'm
shaking the
sure
fuck up, right?
I'm sure mentally that probably brought him down three notches. Like holy cow!
Yeah.
I mean that's outrageous in a crosswalk, right? Like was this driver charged? I sure hope so.
I have no idea. I haven't even heard about that or seen it asked or anything like that. But
Yeah. Though
um,
though in the States their laws are different for pedestrians than they are here. So who knows, right?
is a scooter a pedestrian?
I mean technically a scooter's not a pedestrian here, so I would imagine not there as well.
Hmm. Well, anyways, it's glad to hear that he's doing better. He's skating, so skating with the team, so that's good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
let's
that's
talk
really good.
about Jacob Pelche getting his first goal.
You know what? I what game was that? Was that the Saturday afternoon game when I said that I felt like he was going to get a goal?
Uh,
Can't remember what game that was, but I was confident that he was going to get a goal about a game or two before he did.
oh, I think that was the Buffalo game, wasn't it? Because we were down 2-0. Yeah, we were down 2-0, and then he sparked the seven in a row.
Yeah, well, that's when he did score.
Yeah.
But what game was it then? I can't remember what game
I
I was
do remember
talking.
you saying that, but I can't remember which day it was. I think it must
Yeah,
have been New
can't
York or
remember.
Detroit or something.
He, obviously we've had the two major call ups, we'll call it, with Phillips and Pelche. He is in my eyes, he has made it difficult to take him off the ice, like to not play him. Like he's worked his ass off every single game. He's
And I think that's a common misconception about our coach is
right.
that he doesn't like playing kids. He does like playing kids when they play like that.
That's right.
And
Work
he's not even
hard.
producing. He's got one goal in 5 games or however many games he's played. Like
Exactly.
1 point, he's not producing, but
It's those
he's
it's
playing
those
hard. He's
it's
making
those
smart
games or those
decisions.
plays he's making away from the puck, right? He's working hard. He's creating chances for his line
Mhm.
mates. He's accountable. So yeah, it's been refreshing to see a call up that actually has put forth the effort that he has.
It's
And I'm
great.
and I'm glad that he was finally rewarded with a goal. And
Me
what a
too.
goal it was.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just a little fluke goal. Like he busted his ass to
Yeah.
get up into that play. And it was a pass from Kadri, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually a really nice setup. Like it
Yeah,
was a nice play altogether because
it was.
Huberto put in the defensive work, right? He was
Yeah,
on the boards in the defensive zone and kind of sprung Kadri and Kadri waited for Peltier. He kind of like wrestled his way around. I don't know which defenseman it was, but he
yeah, I don't
wrestled his
remember
way
either.
around the defenseman, and Kadri waited for that to happen and got him the puck and went in and scored. It was actually just a all three players worked really hard
Yeah,
for that point, and it was great.
and then when we got what 4 goals in the next 3.5 minutes or something like that, like
Yeah,
it was
it was
craziness.
something ridiculous. It
Yeah,
was I know it was 3 goals, uh 4 goals in 5.5 minutes, 3 goals in under 2 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when you can have the kids spark the team, and
Yeah.
then everybody rallies from there. Like it was really good. It was really good to see. It's really good to see um what they were showing on the broadcast during the game or just after the game of how much of a celebration he had every time there was a goal. And I think it was Kadri when he came after his goal. He kissed him on the helmet, and he's high-fiving everybody. Like he brought the energy.
Yeah,
He changed the game. He really did.
100%. His
Yeah.
energy, his excitement, and
Yeah.
his happiness, because that's something this team has been missing is
Yeah.
smiles.
Yeah. No, it was refreshing, and I hope that Jacob can be a player on this team for good. To be honest with you, I really
Me
love
too.
his effort.
Me too. And speaking of good effort, um, he doesn't generally pop off on the score sheet, although he kind of did this game. But Dennis Gilbert, man, he's
That shot, holy shit!
and it's funny because when he was talking about it post game, he said he didn't get all of it. He was surprised it went in because it shouldn't have. He said, I was like that. I was thinking to myself, like, that was a fucking rocket, man.
Yeah, like he's talking out his ass. Like there's no way he didn't get all of it. Like that thing that was fucking coming in hot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, so Peltier with his first goal ever.
Yeah.
That was Gilbert's second goal of his career, first goal of the season
Yeah, first goal of the Flames.
in his hometown. And it was his first 2-point night ever.
It really was a great story.
Yeah.
Like it really was. And
I'm trying to take positives out of stuff, Chris. Shut up.
no, and if you look at it at the way he's played since getting called back up, I don't see how when Anderson comes back, I don't see how Gilbert doesn't replace Stone.
I was thinking that too. And I don't think replace is the right word. I think
Stone will go back to the seventh man.
split.
Right. I think he'll go back to the seventh guy.
You think 15 and 15, or you think more like a
there's what,
25 and 10 type of thing?
Well, there's
Or
28
25 and 5.
There's 28 left. I bet you Stone maybe 10.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'd be okay. A fresh Stone for
Yeah.
the playoffs would be fucking great.
Agreed. And both you and I are Stone fans.
Huge Stone fans.
Like big Stone fans. So I think honestly from watching Stone in the last say 15 games, 16, 17 games, he looks tired. He hasn't played this much in a few years.
He's a 7. And there's nothing wrong with that. He
No,
gets
not at
paid
all.
like a 7, and he's an absolutely fantastic 7.
Mhm.
Very professional about it. And the thing for me with Stone too is like, you and I have both been saying for a couple of years, I think, like, Stone could probably be a 6. And I think you and I are both kind of eating our words here. Like he was a perfectly fine 6 for just under half the season, probably.
Yeah.
And he's kind of proven that he's a 7.
He's a year older, and I mean he's got hard minutes, right? He's got a lot of miles on that frame of his, and I won't talk down about Stone.
He's got a lot of minutes playing for fucking Arizona,
right? I mean that's enough to hurt anybody.
Yeah,
anybody.
Let's look at Mike Smith.
I mean, look what it did to Brad tree leaving. Like,
I mean, he can't make a good decision to save his fucking life.
Right.
Anyways,
and that wasn't even physical time. Like, just mentally, he's broken. Clearly,
rough, accurate, but rough.
Right. I tell you what, like, I almost used the term zero latency when it came to Brad there, but I didn't.
Oh, that's a great segue.
Right. Hey, Dylan. Next time you're in town, are you going to stop by Zero Latency and have some VR action?
I sure fucking am. That was an absolute blast. I suggest everybody go check it out. It's a little virtual reality pub we went to when I was in town there. An absolute blast. Flames go there for some private parties and stuff like that. It's a blast. I definitely suggest it.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great time. I mean, pool, they got the pool tables, they got some arcade games, got
Little pinball
shuffleboard.
and stuff.
They've got everything you can imagine. TVs all over the place. So I mean, you watch your favorite game, whether Flames are on, whether watching NBA or NFL or golf
Great
on a
selection of
Sunday.
beer.
Yeah, great selection of beer. Next time you're looking to try something new and have yourself a really good time, stop on by at 6940 Fisher Road Southeast and check out Zero Latency. Tell Dan if he's there, tell him that Chris sent you. Right? Is that a Lanny bit? It was a Lanny bit.
The Lanny bit.
And no, I'm not selling you a goddamn Dodge.
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on this real quick, Chris. I've heard some rumors of late, including, well, pretty much just trade rumors. Um, but I've heard that Ottawa has been asking
52?
about 52, about Mackenzie Weegar.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's from there. His new contract doesn't kick in until next year. I can't remember if his new contract even has a no trade. I'm guessing it probably does, but
Yeah.
you'd figure he'd waive it for there anyways because he's from there. Maybe. But what do you think of that? Like that would be a pretty quick turnaround, especially considering you traded for him.
I mean, it would be a quick turnaround. I don't know that he's happy.
Yeah.
And so if the player's not happy, are they ever going to produce the way you want them to? Don't know.
I don't have a problem with his game.
I don't either.
I don't think
either.
he's I don't think he's here to produce. We've got some guys who can produce on the back end. We've got,
not really.
Well,
not really. Almost every single team has somebody on the D that really produces. We don't have that. We've never had that.
Well, you've got Rasmus Anderson, and that's about it. And he's
doing okay, right? He's middle of the pack when it comes to points as a defenseman, right?
Yeah, and I don't specifically want us to trade Weegar.
I don't either.
The thing is you look at what Ottawa has that they might trade, and that is very fucking appealing.
It is, right?
I mean, I don't know which pieces it would be, but they are stacked up front.
They are, as long as it doesn't include
scoring young, exciting scoring wingers.
Yeah, I mean, if it can bring, younger Kachuk back, then let's do it.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Obviously, I'm kidding.
I know. Right? There's our captain.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
Imagine how pissed fucking Matthew would be. Oh, they wouldn't give me the captain, so I left, and now my little brother's the captain. And fucking Brady just feeding it to him in the offseason.
I think that'd be amazing. So then, when we make the playoffs, then Matthew will have to be the drunk fuck in the stands,
just getting fed by the fans.
Yeah, with his Bud Lights and his Michelob Ultras, drunk as hell because he's had 37 of them.
But like, what? I'm gonna look up right now. Senators cap friendly, just to kind of take a look. I'm not taking this super seriously because I don't think that we're really in a position where we can trade a defenseman.
We're absolutely not. The only way that would work is if Brad is super involved in the Shen conversation, right? That's really the only way that works.
Yeah, but what does Shen
Right. No,
Right.
I
Or Chikrin. I've heard he's really into Chikrin, especially with the Arizona connection there,
right.
because he was on the draft and sitting at the draft table for that.
Right.
Um, and that's fucking expensive as shit.
Right.
Um, but
Obviously I would I mean not obviously, but I would much rather have Mackenzie Weegar over Shen.
I
Like
would too. I would much rather have Shen's price point. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather
correct.
have Mackenzie Weegar altogether.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm not like yeah.
again, if we trade a defenseman, and I've been saying, maybe Noah Hannafin's that guy. I've been saying for a few years. I don't think so right now because that's just trading to fill a hole, but you're making a hole while you're,
Yeah.
and that's what trading Mackenzie Weegar for, whether it be, say Alex DeBrincat or Drake Batherson, probably not. Like they've got
I mean, yeah.
Stutzel
Sending
and
back to Brinken, I would be I'd be on board with that. At least as far as a conversation.
I mean he's a pending RFA at the end of the season.
Yep.
Um, but he's a fucking not this year, but he's how old is he? He's 25. He's already scored 40 goals like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would totally be down for that. But and I know that they're kind of shopping him around, but yeah, like they've got
Yeah.
Norris and DeBrincat, Giroux, Kachuk, Batherson, and Stutzel and Pinto and this Ridley Greig kid is doing really good. Like they've got
Hmm.
enough top six forwards that they can afford to trade one for their. They've got basically Shabbat and Hamannik, and that's it. The back end right now.
Yeah, right. And Hamannik took a big hit against us the other night too, didn't he?
Yeah. But so it makes sense for Ottawa, I think, more than it makes sense for us because they would be bringing somebody in who almost definitely would. Well, I mean, they wouldn't have to sign him long term because he's already fucking signed long term,
Right.
right? And he's from there.
Exactly. The contract is already in place. What's their cap hit right now?
Ottawa,
Yeah, what are they sitting at for cap space?
uh, 3.1,
Yeah, so
and
not much.
DeBrincat makes 6.4.
What's Uyghur's deal next year? So was it 6?
I want to say 6.5. Let me check
Yeah.
real quick.
I mean, if we could lateral move the contract in that with what you just said, I'll be honest, I'd be okay with that.
6.25.
625. See?
And you know what? Honestly, like Uyghur long term at 6.25, that is a fucking great number for him.
Yeah, it is.
That was a great signing. I'll give Brad props when he fucking deserves them. That was a good fucking signing. Um, I know people get pissed off that he signed these guys without seeing them first, but like
I mean,
there's several years of seeing Uyghur.
yeah, I was
And
gonna say, like, how can you say you haven't seen the guy?
yeah,
They've been in the league, right? Like,
several years. And again, I like Uyghur and I don't want to trade him. I think DeBrincat would be a good fit. I think whoever, really any of those guys would be a great fit for us.
yeah,
But I mean, obviously they're not trading Hitchuk or Giroux or Stutzel or Batherson probably.
What do you, what do
Really,
you what do you think about having Huberdeau feeding the puck to DeBrincat? I
I
think that would look pretty good,
with
actually.
Lindholm in the middle,
Yeah.
sign
Not
me
that
up
not that
all
I want
fucking
to take
day.
anything away from what Toffoli's been able to do this year, but we all know that he's not a top line guy.
Yeah.
I mean
So
he's played well and I don't have any complaints when it comes to him, that's for sure.
no, he's been producing, scoring almost at will. Um, here's a question.
Hmm.
If they know that Oliver Shillington's coming back next year, I know you're not a huge fan, and I'm not a huge fan, but you have you're kind of set up for next year should Shillington be coming back to have that Tanev Shillington pair.
Hmm.
And then you have Rasmus and Noah, and then
Uyghur and
maybe
Zach.
Stone and Satherov and Gilbert and DeSimone, and same kind of deal. But that
Yeah,
hole that we're talking about with Uyghur going isn't really there because at least the body of Shillington is there. I don't know how he is or anything about that,
yeah,
but
that's obviously the
wrinkle in
ult
every situation.
yeah, that's the ultimate question, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Brad would know before anybody else whether or not he's even coming back, or like at this stage, without any sort of word from the team, it's hard to have any confidence that he's ever even going to play a game again, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like I don't want to say early retirement, even though like again, not the biggest Shillington fan, but I don't want to say early retirement yet
No,
because
I mean, I
his
don't.
poor fucking kid, man. Like after all of the struggles he's had to get into the league,
Yeah,
like he finally has a half decent season, and then
my
whatever's going on, I don't fucking know. Nobody knows, and that's okay.
that's right. And like my impression of what he is as a hockey player, it means nothing,
Yeah,
right? Like it, like I'll I'll flat out admit that I'm worried about him as a human being.
absolutely.
Like I don't wish anything negative towards Oliver at all. Like
Yeah,
I hope he's able to get get his stuff together, get his life
whatever
figured
help he
out, and
needs, whatever it
whatever's
is.
going on. Like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously there's a lot of assumptions, and it seems pretty valid, but whether it's true or not, we don't know.
we
And
just don't know.
I hope that he's able to get his life back together more than anything. And then if he's able to come back, great. We'll figure that out then.
Yeah. That I was just throwing that out as a like, you know,
What ifism?
a what if ism. Like I'm not overly stoked on the rest of this year. We have a
Yeah,
super under producing goaltender. We have a super underproducing superstar winger, um, underproducing fucking first line center, underproducing fucking everybody
yeah,
basically except for like Dylan Dube and Michael Backlund and Rasmus Anderson.
right. And
um,
no offense to Dylan, but he's not going to turn the franchise around, right?
no, he's not.
Um,
None of those guys are.
no,
Um,
exactly. And
but
we're late enough in the season where,
you know
like,
what's going on.
I just truly don't believe that there's going to be like a light switch moment where all of a sudden we're playing lights out, or
Yeah,
unbeatable hockey. Like I
no,
don't think that moment's happening in this year. And so I've come to terms with the 22-23 season, as I've done so many fucking times in my life, that this isn't the year again, right?
and it happens every second year. Okay.
Yeah.
uh, where's this kid from? Oh, he's American. DeBrinket, that is. But
Oh man.
if you were to bring a DeBrinket in, that sets you up for more offensive confidence next year.
Mhm.
In theory,
Right.
it sets you up to have
I
like
suppose it
an
depends on the
elite
system,
sniper. What's that?
right? It depends on the system, right?
Yeah,
If it happens to be Daryl that's back next year, then does he allow, or would he allow, a player like DeBrinken and Huberdeau and Lindholm to play outside of the system?
Here's a how different is a Quenville system? It's not that much different.
Mm-mm. No, it's pretty similar.
And DeBrincat had
Yeah, good point.
like a 28 goal season, a 41 goal season, and a 32 goal season under Quenville, and then a 41 goal season under the last guy they played for.
Yeah,
So
good point. I'd never even thought of that, to be honest with you, because
yeah.
Huh.
So I don't think a Quenville system is that different. I mean, it's different, but it's not. It's not
not
night and day at
drastically
all.
different. Yeah, it's not
No,
drastic.
it's heavy forecheck type of stuff and
Right.
defensive responsibility. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the systems I like. Those are the systems that win championships.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways, that was just a fun thing to throw around.
I like
I
it.
know definitely Chris and I both think that the team doesn't need any major overhaul or anything like that.
Not
Maybe
mid-season. Not
not
mid-season.
mid-season.
Like we're not a piece away from becoming a contender.
No.
You know, at this
If
point,
you
we may be a piece away from slightly getting into playoffs, and
mhm.
like there's no sense in selling
And the only
or sorry,
buying.
there's no sense in buying in that situation. I think if anything, if it comes down to it over the next couple of weeks, it may be time to see if we can move a couple of guys out. Let's start building this team up.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah.
Or even, my preference would be to sell a couple pieces off. Some of the movable pieces, like I don't know, Mangiapane and Satharov, I guess. There's a couple guys who don't have no trade, no move clause, who would be appealing to a playoff team. I do think it might be interesting to see if there's any building for next year things that we can do instead of, because let's be honest, the team's salary structure and how we're built is not, it's not conducive to a rebuild or anything like that. And
no,
we
not.
all know that a half-ass rebuild just doesn't do it.
No, we've been doing it for 30 years, right? Well,
Yeah.
20 for sure. And it's been 30 years. Fuck.
Yep.
I wouldn't be opposed to even trying to talk to some players that do have some modifieds or full on no trades and
Such as,
I don't know. I'm
curious. I've thought about Coleman a couple times. I'm a huge Coleman fan, but you know that teams have literally won Stanley Cups by paying a first round pick for him to play on their third line before.
Right. I am not opposed. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there isn't a single untouchable on the Calgary Flames. In my opinion, there's not one.
Not Lindholm?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Okay. I mean, if the price is right, there should never be an untouchable at all.
Absolutely.
No matter who you are, no matter if you're Connor fucking McDavid.
Huge Lindholm fan.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying there at all. But as far as untouchable, sorry, we don't have that guy.
No.
And we don't have
just have really hard to move guys.
Because
not
of
untouchable ones.
Because of contracts, right? Yeah. We don't have an elite superstar. We don't have that player.
No. Not
we
right
have
now.
a lot of really good, grinded, responsible 200-foot players. We've got 4 of them, 5 of them. And I'm okay with that. But like I said, if somebody's going to throw a first round at us, anybody's in the conversation. That's my opinion.
Look at it, right? You might as well.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
If you don't, then Brad should be looking for work.
Well, everybody, make sure you smash that subscribe button, share us with your friends, let everyone know. Check us out on Spotify if you can't watch. Make sure you subscribe on there too. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And check out the Hockey Podcast Network in general. There's a lot of good, lot of good shows about a lot of different teams. Almost all of the teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of good content on there. The one piece I'm going to leave everybody with, if I can.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy the last bit of the season. It's going to be rocky.
Sure is.
But it's fun. As Flames fans, we're hardened.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, as Flames fans, we're hardened because we've been through this shit for so long.
Yeah.
So let's just ride it out. See what we have. With any luck, we've got a new GM in the off season. We'll build a winning franchise again.
Hopefully,
like we had 30 years ago. Sorry,
34 years ago.
Right, yeah, 30. I guess fucking near 40 years ago. Ugh.
Well, cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Go Flames, go.
Let's do it. Go Flames. Being said,